We're going to continue to care for our little pups right now. We've invited Bear, a poodle, in who has brought with him a friend, Karis Nafti, our animal behaviour consultant, who is going to be helping us out this morning. Whether you're in Joburg, Limpopo, Cape Town, or right here in studio, these last 2 weeks have undoubtedly been two of the coldest weeks of the year so far. We have felt it. And whilst we are snug under the covers, we need to make sure that our pets are being cared for during these icy cold winter months as well. And here to make sure that we are doing that just right is our certified animal behaviour consultant, as I said, Karis Nafti and Bear.
Bear.
The superstar. Hey,
yes,
Bear.
that's his name.
You're a happy chap.
We're just here to see Bear, but that's fine.
Completely, he's a smiley boy. Thanks for joining us. He looks sorted for winter. He's got the most beautiful coat.
He's got his winter coat on. As you can see, he's got a natural winter coat.
Oh.
So, as we said, Bear's a poodle, and there's some breeds like Bear. He doesn't shed, so he has to go for haircuts. Otherwise, because his hair just grows like ours. He'll have hair like Zoe after a while. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Flowing locks.
So, in winter, what I do for him specifically is I don't cut his hair too short.
Okay.
Because he'll get cold, because he hasn't got, and so this is his scruffy winter look, which we love. It's very cute.
But it is
Very
cute.
sweet.
How can we tell if our animals are getting cold? Because I've seen some of those teeny tiny little chihuahuas and they're constantly shivering.
Yeah, they do. So there are some small breeds do shake, like Chihuahuas specifically, but most dogs don't. So the main thing to look for is a change in your dog's behavior.
Okay.
So if your dog shakes in summer, they might be shaking in winter. But just see, when they sleep, are they curled themselves into a ball? When you take them out for walks, you have to remember your dogs are barefoot outside.
Yeah.
So if the ground is freezing cold, you got to also watch that their feet aren't getting too cold.
Okay.
So the main thing is to look for a change in their behavior, and are they curled in more than normal?
Big dogs versus small dogs, do they feel the cold differently? Because I kind of think that bigger dogs are prone to have more insulation.
Just like people, you know, big people, big dogs. Yeah, so big dogs have a lot more body heat. So big dogs with short coats can handle winter a little bit easier than a small dog with a short coat. So you have to be much more mindful of small dogs in the cold than big dogs. But just because you have a big dog doesn't mean you can just leave them outside in the cold.
For sure.
Especially if the temperatures are so extreme like they have been.
Oh, and then when it comes to feeding and water, like, do we need to increase that slightly for our dogs, or do we
wanna
just keep
eat more in winter,
I mean, we want to eat more.
So this is a tricky question, okay? And you have to be honest with yourself. If you are the kind of owner who exercises your dog as much as they normally do in summer, you should probably increase their food a bit in winter so they have a bit more energy. Okay. However, some of us don't exercise our dogs, don't exercise ourselves as much. If your dog's energy is gone, their exercise has gone down, you might need to reduce their food a bit so that they don't pack on any excess winter, padding.
That ratio, that expenditure of calorie ratio.
Yeah.
Is it different for puppies? Do they require more attention in winter? Where are they in their kind of stage of development in the colder months?
So puppies are a lot like babies. They can't regulate their own body temperature as well as adults.
Okay.
So they can get too hot and too cold a lot easier than adult dogs. So you do have to make sure that your puppy's got the chance to be warm. So if your puppy's left home alone, you can leave it with lots of blankies that he can nuzzle into. You've got to be careful if you put puppies or any dogs in jerseys that you don't put too many jerseys on, because they can also overheat.
Okay.
So
they can't regulate,
And so if your dog is ever panting while they're wearing a jersey, you must take the jersey off.
Okay.
Yeah.
This might be a contentious one. Dogs, breeds that have naturally long hair, I've heard from other experts that they are very good at regulating their own temperature. And if you cut that hair short, that you're doing them a disservice, even in summer. Is that true? Or how?
It is true, yeah. So dogs like huskies, like German shepherds, that kind of hair shouldn't be cut at all. What you have to do with those kind of breeds is shed the hair out, because their hair also is an actual sun deterrent for them. It's like a sun shade. So you need to maintain their grooming. Some people get a little bit like they kind of don't groom their dogs regularly, and then twice a year they just go to the vet and shave it. And that's not what to do. Just, maintain the hair.
Yeah, I wanted to know, it is also flu season. We're going into winter.
Yes.
As humans, we get sick. Our animals, they obviously can also pick up a couple of things. What do we need to look out for? Like, are dogs more prone to picking up a parasite during winter?
Dogs don't have a flu season in the same way that we do, but what people do sometimes forget about is just to keep an eye out for parasites in winter. Dogs can still get ticks in the winter. They can still get all the worms and all the fleas and all that stuff. Sometimes we just forget about it till summer comes around and the dogs are out. But as with all things, you should just maintain whatever it is you're doing with your dog. So definitely keep an eye out in winter for any kind of ticks. You can see them after you walk your dog. You can usually feel them. It feels like a big piece of pepper on them.
Okay.
Do you have any tips here, and this is a bit self-indulgent, for coaxing my little ones? I've just got them right with the new adopted cat.
Yes.
With the whole,
honey, right?
with honey peeing inside. But now that we've had rain, they don't want to go out again. How do you coax your pets outside to do their duty out there rather than inside? Because clearly the weather does affect them.
The weather affects them, and part of the reason it affects them is because we owners also get a little bit lazy. So if it's pouring with rain and you just put your dog outside and you stand with the door closed saying, hurry up and go pee, they probably won't. So it often happens that dogs that are house trained have accidents in winter because they don't spend enough time outside. So what you have to do, the person, not your dogs,
get wet as well.
Get wet as well. Go walk in the garden with them. Walk around your yard. Get an umbrella. Just deal with it.
Give them the time to do it.
Take 10 minutes out, and they'll probably do their business. Yeah.
There we go. Well, Karis, thank you for joining us, but she's not going anywhere. So if you are at home and you have a dog in the house, maybe call them closer to the TV, because after the break, Karis is going to show us some great games to play indoors and outdoors with our doggos. So you do want to keep your four-legged friend happy and also active during the winter months. And if you have any questions about pet care, especially during winter, why don't you ask them? You can head on over to the Expresso Facebook page and pop those questions there, because we have Karis here who will be answering your questions.
And it's a free consult for you,
Yes.
so I suggest you make use of that opportunity. Bear, you're a legend.
Oh, he's the cutest.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you,
you
Carl.
do.
Oh, thank you, Carl. You're such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Oh, man.
He's responding.
I don't know. Okay, so we've got our dog whisperer, our animal whisperer. Karis Nafty is still here, and she has brought a superstar of a dog here. He's got the biggest, broadest smile. Is it weird that because now my son watches a show called Bluey about Australian sheepdogs, and he looks like an Australian
look, he's
sheepdog?
comfortable, yes.
Yeah, look. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. I imagine he has an Australian accent. What breed, mix of breeds?
So Sam is not a mix. He's a Australian cattle dog. Oh. So they're actually not the same as Australian shepherds, which is also a very common dog. This breed, they're bred to herd cattle, not sheep, which Australian shepherds are bred to herd sheep. So he does have an Australian accent. The history of this dog is so fascinating because the short version was they were basically a combination of border collies and dingoes way back in the day. Yeah, that's the story of where the breed originated from. So they're very smart dogs. They're very intense dogs. They need a lot of exercise, which is actually what we're going to talk about today, which is ways to keep in winter when it's cold and you don't want to go out. How do you keep a dog busy? Because that's also what keeps them from having behavior problems.
I was going to say, because it can lead to quite deep-rooted psychological issues for a dog that needs to, like a husky, for instance, or those working dogs need that.
They literally need, and people need to understand when they're looking for a dog to buy, you have to be prepared to meet the needs of the exercise of the dog. It doesn't matter how cute they are or what they look like on Instagram, they need a lot of exercise, and you've got to make sure you've got the time. Otherwise, they will have behavior problems, all sorts of things, yeah.
Well, Karis, let's start off with that little gadget you've got in your hand.
Well, okay, so you can buy in the shops. A great way to keep a dog busy is to use their normal meals and make them work for their meals in a fun way. So at the dog shops, you can find a million different hollow rubber toys. There's a million different brands. Now, the rubber toys on their own are very boring. It's just a bunch of rubber. But what you do with them is you take your dog's normal pellets, okay? Oh, yep, we know what that is. Hello.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to put the food inside the toy so that they actually have to work a little bit to get their food. And what it does is it makes them use their jaw and use their nose, and it kind of engages with them it's like a puzzle.
Saying, please,
so you want to get boy?
give it to me.
And it's fun to make them work for their food.
Good boy.
They actually like it. It keeps them calmer. So rather than just giving them their food for free, you can find all the different toys to get them into it. You can put a little extra fun food in there. It makes it more delicious for them.
I'm just imagining my sausage dog's face when I present him with one of these, and he's going to look at me like, what do you do?
Oh, he's
we've got food."
working for
And he'll
it.
start making the noise.
And then you just ignore him, and then he'll have to go and work for it. And then what's good about this is if you really stuff their food in the different toys, by the time they get the food out, they're actually tired. because they've used their nose and they've had to think of it's like a puzzle.
Yeah, it's
they've
a
had to
mental
think about it.
exercise
Yes,
as well.
yeah,
Look at that.
exactly.
Oh, that is so cute.
What's it? Oh, it's so exciting.
Oh, good
Yes.
boy.
Yeah. And now Sam's looking up here because
'cause
this
is his
his
favorite.
Okay. So any idea what this is, guys?
I have
It's a
no
pom-pom.
idea. It's a cheerleader pom-pom.
You're a
right.
cheerleader
I am.
in
Woo,
your spare
that's fun.
time.
Yeah, you never
and,
know, right? Okay, so this is not a bath mat. This is something called a snuffle mat.
Full.
And you can buy these, you can make these, you can get them all sorts of places. If you don't have an actual snuffle mat, you can do the same thing with an old towel that I'm going to do. But the idea with a snuffle mat is it's also a food puzzle for a dog. And the idea is you hide their food in the thing so they actually have to snoofle around and find their breakfast. Hey, boy.
Oh.
And when you get a dog using their nose, they calm down. It releases endorphins in their head. It makes them so settled and calm. So the way to get a dog used to it, I'll show you quickly, is you start by you just put the food on top of it. So it's super easy for them. You don't want to make it too difficult, okay? Like no big deal.
He's got
So
it.
Sam will do it. And then once you've done that a couple of times, then you start hiding the food deep inside. And then they
to
really
really
have to
work
work
for
for
it.
it. Yeah, so you really bury it. And then it's a lot more fun for them actually because they like the challenge. Dogs like the challenge of things. Now with these, there's just a couple
Good
of
boy,
cautions.
yes, you got it.
Sam, find it.
It's very sweet. You can see the
Yeah.
human connection there because he's constantly looking
Yeah.
for validation
Yes.
that he's done something worth
Yes.
talking about. You know?
And here we are on set. There's all this stuff happening, and he's busy there because it's more fun for him to snoof with his nose.
Oh.
Now, if you use this, just a couple of cautions. The one is don't leave your dog unattended with it. There are some dogs who get so excited they'll try to actually chew on the fabric. So you need to watch. Not most of them don't, but you just have to be cautious. And you must never put wet, damp food in there because it gets really puffy really soon. So it has to be dry food. Can be biltong, dog food, anything dried that they enjoy and that they'll do it. Did you find it?
Did you
Good
find
boy.
it? Well, Karis, we also have some social media questions.
super.
So our first one that came through is, let's take a look. The question we asked this morning,
Yes.
do dogs eat more during winter? This is from Mark Gavin.
Mark, dogs always want to eat more, okay? If you haven't noticed, if
It's
you
a
leave your dog,
compulsion,
it's a
yeah.
compulsion. I mean, I don't ever suffer from that, but other people might. Look, there is an instinct to eat more in winter to keep a dog warm, but you don't necessarily have to feed them more unless their exercise is really going up. Sam's right at home, guys.
Sam is
Now he's doing his
making
stomach
himself
workout.
all-
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
He's doing some
This is
crunches.
The post-breakfast tummy scratch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sam.
sweet
Come on,
boy.
Mark Gavin, thank you so much for that question.
Yes, that's a good question.
Thank you so much, Karis, for also just showing us some great ways to keep the dogs entertained, especially indoors when it's too rainy or it's not easy to go outside.
Oh, brilliant stuff. And I love the fact that we are thinking outside of the box here for ourselves and our pet. So we want you to do 3 things for us. First, make sure that your dog is warm and getting enough stimulation during winter. That's the first check. Number 2, keep them protected inside and out against nasty bugs and parasites with NexGuard Spectra. It offers the full spectrum. And then third, go give them a big, fat, warm cuddle now
Right now.
and every night. Come here, give me a bit of cuddles. Good boy. Oh.